Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a co-founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. During her journey, Isla meets new friends, including King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, and learns valuable life lessons with every quest, sword fight, and dragon ride. Positive and uplifting stories remind us all about the importance of kindness, friendship, honesty, and positivity. Join me and an all-star cast of actors including Liam Neeson, Emily Blunt, Kristen Bell, Chris Hemsworth, among many others, in welcoming the Search for the Silver Lining podcast to the Go Kid Go network by listening today. Look for the Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Today, our wonderful, lovely guest is my twin, Leo Howard.
I'm back, baby.
And you guys might have seen a TikTok with him recently that's researched.
Oh, clapping erasers.
Yeah. And you might know him from Disney Plus.
Now Disney Plus.
I'm
And a show called Freakish on Hulu.
Speaking of TikTok and Freakish, someone posted a TikTok essentially that there was a chemical leak at in their town and they were trapped in their high school. And I was like, bitch,
We got you covered.
is this the plot of our show that got canceled?
Didn't get canceled, just ran its course, after a second season.
For sure, yeah.
Every show gets canceled, everyone. Every show gets canceled.
Do you still get DMs of people being like, what happened in the end? And I was like, I
still get DMs
know.
about on Kicking It, one of the characters got fired, I think, between second and third season.
Yeah.
And I still get DMs. It's like, hey, what happened to Eddie? I'm like, I don't know.
I don't
And also, I get DMs about like, hey, let's bring Kicking It back. I'm like, it's been 6 years, literally 6 years. Everyone forgot.
That's so. Also, how old were you? Like, how old was your character when were you playing your own, like, same age?
Yeah, I mean, it's high school. I think we started when I was 13, 14, and then it went through high school until I was 17, 18.
If you came back, you would be.
It's like Saved by the Bell. It's that kind of thing. If we come back as like grown adults, like, did you see the SNL thing
funny.
with Saved by the Bell? It was like, they were all back and they were all just miserable. You could tell they didn't want to be there. And
Was it SNL or Jimmy Fallon?
I'm sorry, Jimmy Fallon. You're right. Yeah.
So, guys, this is an advice podcast. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, the phone number is 310-694-0976. And if you're an international listener, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com.
So basically my concern is me and my boyfriend are approaching our 1 year anniversary, and I love him a lot, and he says that he loves me back also, but I feel like his actions, or I feel like he's really slacking lately, because at the beginning he was so sweet, he would do a lot for me, and now it just kind of, I feel like I'm exhausting myself, because I feel like not that I'm holding up the relationship, but I feel like it's more me than him at this point. Like, he just needs to put in more effort, like him calling first, him texting first, like just some of the little things, because I feel like for me, at least, the little things matter and they make up the bigger picture. But for him, he says little things aren't what he focuses on. But either way, it's just, I feel like he should just do it for me, and if he really loved me, he would, And I'm not saying that he doesn't try, but he doesn't try, we'll say, hard enough or long enough for me to be, like, satisfied and content with where I'm at right now. So I just don't know how else to approach it and say it to him. And another thing that really bothers me is that I never received a birthday gift, and my birthday is on the same day of our 6th month, and I gave him a nice little letter, and he didn't give me anything for our 6th month, and he didn't give me anything for my birthday, And it just kind of threw me off a bit because I'm not a person who really asks for anything. I'm a very easy person, but I would at least expect something like a letter, a dinner, or anything. So I got none of that. And I don't know if it's something that I should be concerned about. It's definitely something that still bothers me to this day, which I don't know if it should or shouldn't. But do I have the right to still be upset, we'll say? Because I have talked to him about it, but I'm still upset about it. Well, thank you. If you have any advice of what I should do or why I'm feeling like this, please let me know. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day.
Oi. I want to guess that they're probably young, right? Like high school-ish.
Don't know.
Maybe. God, if he's older than high school.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's a rough situation.
The birthday present thing, I think like the 6-month thing, like I don't think you really, I don't know. I don't really know anyone who celebrates those kinds of like milestones. But like, I think the birthday thing is weird and I do want to know what his excuse was. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's one of those things that I'm terrible at birthdays, holidays, giving gifts and that sort of thing, right? In terms of like on people's birthdays and like giving gifts. What?
I don't think, no.
No, I'm not good at it. And
I think that's not true.
No, it's definitely true in the fact that it's not something that like clicks in my brain and I think about ahead of time until it's like that day. I'm like, oh shit. So, but when I'm with certain people, I have to make that effort. And I know that it's important to them.
Yeah.
And so like, you compromise on things and you realize that that's an important thing. Like if you're dating someone and that's important to them, like you got to suck it up. Like you got to just do it. That's, there has to have been a good excuse for that. Cause that's like,
Because I think it's about being like thoughtful and considerate. And if you don't think you're good at giving like, someone's birthday and anniversary, you're thoughtful and considerate and like presents for someone that you're dating, not necessarily around like their birthday or something. Like you are thoughtful and considerate. And so I think it probably, for her, it feels like he's not thoughtful and considerate in those in-between moments. And then when it gets to like that big moment of a birthday, there's still nothing. So I think also you're like, it must feel frustrating for you because you're saying that the little things matter to you and he's saying he thinks about the big things. I would consider a birthday a big thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, well, I thought if anything, it was going to be there. So I wish I knew what his reasoning there was, because if his reasoning is that he's broke, I think like
you can still do stuff though. You can make someone feel important.
And I think also 6 months dating, and if he doesn't get you a present because he's broke and you have that conversation about it and you can be like, you know what, like just a letter or flowers would have been nice and fine. Like then I think that would have been like a teachable learning moment because it's probably the first like celebration you've had together. So I think again, learning curve there.
Yeah.
But I think now like a year in, I also wonder if I want to know what you want him to text you first. You want him to like take the initiative and stuff like that. If you guys have been dating for longer, I would say this is something that just ebbs and flows. And but I think because it's pretty early on,
things should still be pretty fresh a year in.
Yeah.
Right. And my gut tells me, obviously, I always preface this saying, I don't know the whole situation because I don't. But at the same time, you can't make people care more than they do. And you're never going to convince someone to care more than they want to care or more than they are able to fit that into their lifestyle, right? So if you're not feeling valued and you're not feeling, and you never really did, or maybe you did in the beginning and it fell off that quick, then, you have to respect yourself and you have to understand what kind of value you bring to things. And so you have to be a little harsh with that and say, well, this is what I'm okay with and this is what I'm not. And that's where I've always led my life, is going, I don't feel appreciated, so I'm not going to deal with this, And
I think also take into consideration if you're someone who really likes doing things for people. I'm that person. I love doing shit for people. I like doing shit for my friends. I like doing shit for but there are some people where it's like it's just not that important to them. And there's also some people who like they really want that. It can't be like you doing all of this stuff and wanting him to do it back. Like, I don't want you to be doing all this stuff just because you want him to do it back. Like, take a step back and realize, like, hey, do I actually really want to be going for and doing all of this stuff? Or am I just doing it because I want him to then do it? Because I think at that point, you just have to be like, okay, cool. Have a conversation with him and be super honest. Because if you've had this conversation before and like nothing really has changed, I think you need to change your approach on how you have that conversation, which is you asked how to do that. And I think you just need to be like, here's the thing. I really like you. We've been dating for a year. I told you at the like when the birthday stuff happened, like that really hurt and that really did suck. And I feel like every time we've had this conversation, you've been like, yes, I'll get better. And it works for a little bit and then it doesn't anymore. And I'm just at this point where like, if I don't want to go out of my way to be the one texting you first and calling you first and doing all that stuff. So like, I'm going to take a step back. And like, if you really want to do this, then like, I need to see from you that this is what's going to happen. And I think you're at this point where like, I'm not a fan of ultimatums, but I think like you sound pretty fed up.
I think it's ready.
Yeah. And I think if he wants to be that, then he can. But also there's a certain thing of like, some people are just, it doesn't matter how much you like each other. You guys are just like different in relationships and different what you want.
People speak different languages in relationships. There's this thing that happens that I see a lot. And I think it's a really unhealthy, flirting tactic or sort of like a foundation for a relationship. And sometimes it's with guys, sometimes it's initiated by girls, but there's a sort of thing where the more maybe secure person in the relationship makes the other person feel like they can only get their validation from that person. And so it sounds a little bit like a situation where she could be chasing that kind of validation or chasing that kind of whenever he does actually approve or when he does reach out, it's like, oh my God, it's like this drug high. You feel so high and it's beautiful because you're getting it. And then all of a sudden, all those times where you don't get it, it kind of keeps you hooked until you get it again. So you got to break that chain. If that's what's going on, that's not a healthy relationship. It's just, it's not. And I don't know if it is, but it sounds like it could potentially be that. Yeah.
And again, he obviously can't read your mind. And I think the more that, and you've said you've been upfront and honest with him and he's like changed and then not really, I think at a certain point you have to realize like, it's not the way you're communicating it. He just doesn't care enough to actually stick with it and change. And you're right. Like he should be able to like hear what you're saying. But I think both of you just need to like, I don't want to say manage each other's, like manage expectations, but I think figure out if what you're asking for is something that does really matter to you or does it matter because he's not doing it? And then the same thing with him. It's like he needs to figure out like, okay, cool. Is this a girl I really care about? And am I willing to do these things for her without sacrificing? Do you know what I mean? Because it's not
she might be annoying though.
No, but I'm saying if you're asking for something,
she might be hitting him up all the time saying, "Hey, you got to text me 24/7 when you leave the house, when you step out, when you get in your car." I'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here."
That's the other thing too. You also have to realize if you're the one doing something, sometimes like if you're the one doing it all of the time, like you're not giving someone the opportunity to kind of like. Let me show you, like, let me text you first. Let me do all of that stuff. But it's because you can have a fear of rejection in your own relationship. It's like there's certain things that you like and you either like them and then if your partner's not doing them, then you have to go there and do that. But then you can't resent them for not doing that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think, you have to have that last honest conversation with him, ultimatum-ish, and then see from there because it just might be that like you guys like each other, but how you guys express love is super different. And if he can't get with that, then no matter how much he cares about you, you're never going to feel like he does because he's not expressing it in how you receive it.
I just imagine a man in a reclining chair and she goes, "Hey babe, how's your day?" And I just very Neanderthal-like.
I hope to God that you guys are in high school though. Or like
I hope so too.
Early or like late teens, early 20s. Because if he's just like a 27-year-old man who's just like, sorry, bro. Like, forgot your birthday.
Man's probably got a flip phone. He just doesn't text on it. He doesn't text because it's a pain in the ass. You ever clicked through like A, B, C? Good memories.
Well, best of luck. Let us know how it goes. I hope he's. Also, has he not gotten you like a replacement birthday gift?
Move on. I say move on. Dump him.
I don't know. The birthday thing would really piss me off.
Yeah, I don't know. Life's too short.
I mean, I returned the birthday gift Mott's got me this year, and I've been on his ass being like, so like, can I have a different one? I told him what I wanted instead.
It's been months.
I like that,
he
though.
finally ordered it.
That's how I operate. If someone buys me a gift and I'm close to them, and they spent money on it, and I really don't want it, I will tell them.
I also think it's
I have this disagreement with people, though.
No, I'm really with you. I also think like when it's someone that you're dating, I'm like, you fucked up by not asking me or my friends what I wanted, and I could have told you that a week after my seizure, I would not want a bracelet that vaguely looks like a medical ID bracelet. It's a little triggering. Like it just looks like she had a seizure.
Better than a strobe light. Hey, babe, here's this strobe light.
Oh, my God.
And then it cushions, so when you fall down.
And then he's like, do you want rings? And I was like, no, triggering. I want a small hoop earring that I can't get anything stuck in. And it needs to be clasped in the back. So that's what I'm getting.
But again, here's the kicker. He tries.
100%.
He makes effort. There's effort that goes into it. It's important.
Sounds
it really
like
is. This guy doesn't make effort.
Yeah. And it's not fun at all.
It's not fun for anyone.
Should we go on to the next one?
I just have a little background real quick. I'm
I'm 20 now. I just got out of a 2-year relationship. When we had started dating, I wasn't really ready. So when we started talking, and then I took a break for a month to, like, I guess, find myself in a way. And then we started talking again, and he had a girlfriend, but she, like, sucked. So I convinced him that she was awful. And we started, like, friends with benefits, and then we started dating, and then we just kind of fell into a relationship. And, I mean, honestly, our relationship was just, like, we're best friends, and we do everything together, and then we also have sex. We kind of just put a title on it. He broke up with me a couple weeks ago because he decided that he needs to find himself, and because, I mean, throughout the relationship, he kind of always had anger issues, and not in like a physical way. He didn't take it out on me. He would just find, like, the smallest thing from the smallest mistake that I made, and he'd make it like this huge deal, and we'd have a fight over it, and he would try to push me away. But I always, like, fought back. I always, like, fought for us. And I mean, it worked for 2 years. And then we started fighting, and he just turned 21, so he's been going out and partying and drinking a lot, which I definitely don't like, and he knows that. I'm very vocal about that. But, I mean, he's still my best friend. I still love him. I've recently moved out from his house that we were living in. So I'm with my parents now again, but, like, we're still having sex and we're still hanging out, and, like, I'll go over and smoke, and I just, like, I don't know what to do, because, like, he wants to come back and revisit the idea in 2 years, but I feel like that's a really long time. But like I said, like, I still love him, and I'm still, like, I still want him. So just
let it go.
Let it go.
The cold never bothered me anyway.
We don't have the rights.
That's true. You guys are toxic as fuck for each other.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. First of all, I just need to give you shit for him having a girlfriend and dating her, and then you convincing him and telling she sucked, and so I made him break up. I got him to break up with her.
That's no good.
Hella fucked up, and I just want, like, from the beginning, you fucked your relationship with him. Like, you guys don't. I'm sorry.
Look at her.
But truly,
this is the first time, like, I've actually heard you go in on somebody.
Oh, well, no, you must not listen. Oh, yeah, you don't listen.
No, on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were like, no, I
hear you. Yeah.
No, but I just think, like, you fucked, like, you started this relationship on a basis of, like, that's manipulative and controlling. And then I'm not saying that you ever deserved, like, him being really angry and lashing out at you, but, like, you guys started this really fucking toxic and manipulative thing, and you're both doing it to each other. And that doesn't mean either of you are, like, inherently bad people, but this relationship has no footing. It has no ground at all.
I love analogies. I'm an analogy person. It's like check this, all right? It's like you build a house, right?
Okay, are you
but the foundation
Adam from Love Island?
Sand, right? So if you build a house on sand, or you build a house on stilts, right?
Yeah.
What happens when an earthquake comes? That house is going to fall every time, no matter how high you build the house. Still got shit foundation. Yeah. You guys have shit foundation. Yeah, that bothered me for sure. And then the other thing is, to give you a little clarity, because I'm actually like this as a person, when there are deeper underlying issues, whether it's in a relationship or things, I find little things to get mad at. And that's, like, my way of dealing with me being unhappy. So it sounds like he is at an age where, like, the world is kind of opened up, and he feels like he's not getting to see what he wants to experience, or experience things he wants to experience, and he's taking it out on you. So that's what that process is. But yeah, it sounds like you guys need a little breather. And the whole revisit it in 2 years, that's disrespectful to you. Like, you shouldn't say that. Like, I'm not a fan of being like, hey, I'm going to put a timeline on this. In 6 months, we're going to talk again. No, just let it, you got to just let people
and also,
heal.
if he is angry with you and all of that kind of stuff, and, like, he was pulling away, excuse me, and then you're fighting, and you're like, and I am. She's like, I'm fighting back, but I'm fighting for our relationship. You shouldn't have to fight to be with someone. And then at that point, like, it makes sense to me why he's like, yeah, no, I need some time and some space, because he probably, like you said, like there are these little things that he was kind of done, like that were aggravating him because of these deeper things. And then finally, when he wants to have this, like, I want to go find myself and do all of that, which, to also be fair, you did at the beginning and broke up with him to go find yourself. Like, it does seem like all of this is on your timeline and your call and your terms. And he doesn't really have a say in any of it. And it's like, if he wants to break up and you're like, oh, but here I am fighting for this relationship, it sounds like you want to win him, not necessarily date him. Like you have, like, it sounds like you're getting off on this power thing of being like, I got him to like break up with his girlfriend. And then also like now, even though I broke up with him and I was like, I need to go find myself. Now when I'm ready, I'm going to date him. But now he wants to go, we're fighting. And I'm like, no, you can't be mad at me. I'm fighting for us. I don't want to break up. And then he's like, hey, I want to like do my own thing and I want to find myself. And you're like, no, that's not fair. I don't want you to do that. Like, do you even like him or do you just like...
Also, why did you call in? What kind of advice are you asking for? You just gave like a really shitty story about how what a terrible relationship is. What do I do? What do you? You're in it. You're in it. You can handle your business.
I think you also might like drama, which I really relate to when I was young. Like anytime I was in a relationship that was easy, I was like, this is boring. But that was like that young mentality. And then finally, when it just kept blowing up in my face, and I was finally like, oh wow, you know what? Maybe this isn't as fun as isn't like as fun as I think it is, because ultimately like it ends up blowing up in your fucking face.
Yep.
And I think you need to like take a step back, and I think you need to be alone and you need to work on yourself and figure yourself out too, and you have to let him do that too. I just don't think that this is like a good place for either of you to be. Also because I think like dating your friends can be great, but at a certain point, like if I ever like dated my friends with benefits, like yeah, we kind of treated each other like shit because like we were friends and we were also fucking, and like it just seemed you just have too much of a handle in each other's lives, I think, to like have a healthy, normal relationship at this point. And I think like, yeah, be done, break up, like this isn't your person. And I always think about it in the sense that like, when I talk, can you envision you telling your grandkids, this is how grandma and grandpa met? Well, first of all, I convinced him that the bitch he was dating before me was fucking psycho. And then like, dude, like it's not.
I will say my grandparents had some fucked up stories like that. So yeah.
I also like, and I think the longer that you've been together. I was dating this
married man and he introduced me to his other married man friend. And yeah.
But yeah, I just think that like, this is like, everything you've said about this is toxic, and no matter how much you like love someone and you want to fight for a relationship, you should both be wanting to kind of work on that. And like the fact that you were also kind of okay being like being like a verbal punching bag and having him just like take his anger out on you also to me speaks volumes for like maybe you have some other shit you need to work out. And I'm not here to like, and again, as like if you came from like a single parent household, or you came from like a angry household and like parents and stuff like that, like that's the shit that like we then like, oh, this is what love, this is how I see it, this is like, it doesn't have that necessarily like it just happens. And I also feel like I can say that from personal experience that like sometimes like if we see love in a certain way growing up, we kind of don't even realize that that's the kind of thing that we also validate and consider love at that point. That it just might be that you need to have that like year-long break of just figuring your own shit out and realizing like, hey, the shit that I did to get this guy was really toxic. And when he wanted to be out and I was like, no, I'm fighting for you, that's also really toxic too. And I think like if you care about him as much as you say that you do, you should really want him to be happy. But I do agree that the 2-year thing, I think that's like a weird fucking thing.
You don't do that.
Also because like that's not going to happen. It's not like 6 months or like, hey, we're going to talk again in 3 months. It's like 2 years. I'm never going to see you again.
Even if you have an intention of getting back together, I think putting a timeline on it, all it does is it allows both parties to not heal.
100%.
Like, so whatever happens in the future, right, is going to happen. And so if you put a timeline on it, it like makes one person hang on to hope or this, that. You got to let things just kind of sit and let both people heal. Yeah. And if it happens, it happens, you know?
Yeah. I think you need to separate yourself and take a break
and not break up any more relationships.
No, because that's karma. Like you're going to get some shit it's going to happen to you. And then you're going to be like, oh, wow, fuck. That sucks. And also at the same time, I also think that like, I'm not a fan of the phrase like how you get him is how you lose them. But at a certain point, I'm like, if you could convince him that like he's done, like who's to say that someone else couldn't convince him the same thing about you?
Exactly.
Like, and that would suck.
Yeah, and if you got tendencies to do that sort of thing, like,
Yeah, I think that you'll probably end up missing a lot of really great guys if this is kind of how you go about getting this guy. I think you'll miss a lot of like good eggs. Okay, well, best of luck. Please keep listening to the podcast. Sorry that we roasted you, but I think you needed to hear it. And should we go on to the next?
Basically, I'm in this friend group. It's me and 3 guys. We're very, very close. I've known them all since junior year of high school. I'm 23 now. But I got into a 4-year-long relationship in the middle of it. And that kind of, separated us for a little bit. But basically, I've known them for a long time. And when I met them at first, I started to have a crush on one of the kids, but ignored it when I was in my relationship, obviously. Now I'm single again, and we all started getting really close again. They're my absolute best friends in the world, basically closer with them than I am with my girlfriends. So long story short, we started hooking up now about a year ago, right when my relationship ended, basically. And that's been great. Except for I, fucked around and developed feelings that I swore I wouldn't do. And we're just really close. He tends to open up to me more than he does with anyone else. Even the other boys notice it. But I can't tell if it's just because I'm a girl and I'm just easier to talk to, or if it's, because there's something more there. We just have a really good connection, and I don't know what to do about it. Also, he lives about 3 hours away right now because he's in a 6-year program at school, and he won't be home for another year and a half permanently. We only see him during breaks, but every time he comes home, we continue to hook up and stuff. So we're just kind of official friends with benefits at this point, I guess. I guess my question is, I don't know if I should say something because this is something that's really been affecting me. Because I really, really like him. But I don't want to risk ruining our friendship. I don't want to risk ruining the whole friend group. And I don't know if it's even worth saying something yet until he comes home once he's done with school. So I really need your help. I don't know if I got everything in or if that all made sense, but any advice you could give me with the situation, I would really, really appreciate it.
I'm going to need a quick recap from you because I know it was English, but it just sometimes words in that order don't make sense.
Okay.
So let me just see. So 3 friends she was friends with for a long time from childhood, had a 4-year relationship. She always kind of had a crush on one of the guys. Yeah. Sleeping with him now, and she likes him and wants to pursue a relationship, but she's scared that it's going to mess up their friendship, which has already been messed up. So the answer is yes, pursue it because you're already in it.
But also he lives far away and is in a 6-year program.
Oh, I missed that. See, that's that whole
that's
translation,
when you were doing your
the
good
language.
joke.
Yeah, the language. There's a language barrier happening.
No, so
English is my first language.
He's still like in school in a program, so she only ever sees him on breaks.
Yeah, he's 3 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Megan.
I mean, I feel like you're not gonna like what I have to say. First, you've already ruined the friendship. You've already ruined
Can't
the
really
friendship.
go back.
No, and even I would say, even if you have feelings for someone, like you were saying, while you were in college, like it's not like they were just gonna go away. Like if you have feelings for someone, like they're no longer your friend, they're your crush. And I think if those feelings don't continue, like if they continue on, he's just a guy that you like. Like
and she had the crush on him before they started fucking while she was with someone else. So that should have told you already.
They were fucking while she was with someone else?
No. She had a crush on him.
Before they even started dating, the other guy started dating.
No.
She said they started hooking up like almost immediately after she broke up with the other dude.
Oh, how heartbreaking for the other dude. He always knew.
Always knew.
Always knew. Hey, you hanging with? I'm hanging with Blake. Oh, Blake. Oh,
his name's definitely Blake.
I was gonna say Chad. I was like, no, too typical.
No, too typical. Also, my ex's name.
Blake or Chad?
Chad. I didn't date a Blake.
You dated a Chad.
I did.
I love it.
Everyone I know has dated a Chad.
I love it.
But so I don't know. I just think you've already kind of ruined your friendship, but also like hate to say this, but unless, I don't know. I just think that like if he, and maybe it's just you guys have to have that kind of conversation, but I think like you guys kind of are right now the epitome of friends with benefits, and like
it's kind of perfect. You live 3 hours away. It's kind of great.
I just think that if he, at a point, I do wonder.
It's just like
I don't know. Maybe he really, really, really does like you, and he's like, I can't not hook up with you. We have to hook up. But a part of me also thinks that like if he really did like you and care about you, there would have been a conversation before you guys just got together, because it would have been like
things happen, man.
Well, yeah, but you can give the straight guy perspective. Like, what if would you hook up with a friend that you like actually really, really, really cared about without and just not say anything and just be friends with benefits?
No, I would say something.
But he hasn't said.
It all depends. This is a massive gray area because it all depends on what you like. I'm pretty intuitive with other people and I know where they're at and like what they're looking for. If I can feel that this person is expecting something I want to say, yes, there has to be a conversation, because then I'm being disingenuous and I'm not being totally forthright with you, right? So I'm a big fan of huge communication, saying like, hey, I can feel that this is where you're at. This is where I'm at with this. How do we meet somewhere in the middle? Or like just opening up communication. However, I've been in situations before where didn't really need a conversation because there just wasn't, I didn't feel like anybody was expecting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really just depends on the person. It sounds like there needs to be a conversation in this.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
One specifically because there's a lot of factors muddying the water. And I mean, there's this whole unspoken thing of like, you know, you had 4 years of being in a relationship and then right after the relationship ended, you went and hooked up with this person. So obviously those feelings were there.
Yeah.
So it sounds, and I'm sure they've had these conversations, but obviously it's, but what's the solution? Here's my thing is, what's the solution? Either they pursue a relationship or they don't, and they keep doing it, and then eventually it's going to blow up in their face because it always does. So there's really no solution unless they want to try and pursue something or not.
Yeah, I think,
or just a little distance and then they're together. It's you know.
I think like whatever happens, you're not. No matter what you say, you're not at risk of losing him. You already slept with him. Like, that's something that, like, you guys have already been there. Like, your friendship's already, like, changed. And I think, like, then you saying that you have feelings for him is not going to ruin the friendship. Like, I think if anything was going to ruin the friendship, the sleeping together would have.
Any guy that acts shocked to hear that after you've been sleeping together, like, you... Feelings? No, like obviously that's what we're designed to do. Like anytime you're just like having sex with someone, like you're trying to fake what it would be like to be in a relationship with them. You're like faking this kind of intimacy with someone. Even people that are super guarded, like it's kind of nice to feel close to someone that just
was inside you.
Sure, kind of. But you know what I mean? I mean, I was inside. You know, but similar. You know,
sure.
Sure. We see that hat you got on, buddy.
You made out with a guy once.
I did.
But I would also say that like you need to figure this out because you don't necessarily know that he's not hooking up with someone at school. Like you don't know any of these other factors.
Chances are he probably is based on just 3 hours away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the odds of.
I think you need to say something because you have feelings for him, and clearly these feelings aren't going to go away. So if he's not at the same page, you need to stop sleeping together because it's going to fuck you up. Like it's going to ruin you.
I recommend the conversation start with say something because I'm giving up on you.
It's really sad, though.
And I'll be the one if you want me to. Hold me closer.
Tiny
dancer would be the next line.
You just have to have this conversation. And I think like the sooner you do it, the better. I don't think you need to wait until you're in person. I think you can even like, I would just do it.
We have phones
ASAP
now.
And be like, hey, here's the thing. I think you probably know that like, I had a crush on you before, whatever. Josh and I started dating.
Blake.
And I thought his name was Blake, though.
No, we agreed on Blake.
No, I thought his name was Blake.
No, Blake's the old guy.
Okay. So
Chad's the new guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you know that I had feelings for you and like because he also might be considering you as you just rebounding to him of being like, oh, she just got out of a relationship. I'm her close friend who she wants to like be close to. Like I'm just a rebound. And then just say like, and I have like like these feelings haven't gone away and I like really like you and I've enjoyed like hooking up and like this has been really fun. I just want to know where you're at because I'm at this point where like if you're not into me like that, I don't think that this is something that like I feel good continuing on with because I don't want to ruin our friendship and I really want to preserve that. And I think the more that we do this and if we're not on the same page, I just think it's going to be really hard to like for our friendship to like for us to maintain our friendship.
I recommend a handwritten postcard from the city that you're in right now. I think you should send it to him from 3 hours away, handwrite it, and say, I'd like your answer
to be like,
written back to me.
Oh, God. It's like the letter in Friends. I fell asleep. You fell asleep. And let us know what he says. And don't put it off. The more you put it off, the more you're just going to be caught in your feels. Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, we're back from our break and we're getting to the rest of the calls.
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and potential guest. I've been listening since the first episode, and I'm a huge fan. So about my situation, basically, I started dating this guy, and there are two issues. And so the first one is the sex. It's just not great, and I don't know if I want to like stick around and make things better. He kind of seems like he hasn't really had a lot of experience, so I feel kind of bad for being, you know, a little judgy about this, but he just seems like way too excited about just putting the penis in the vagina, and I'm like, you gotta go down on me first, dude. So, yeah, not great. He's also like, when he does go down on me, not great at following instructions. I try to give them, but then it's like, hey, do these two things. And then he does the one thing, but not the other. And then if I tell him to do the other, stops doing the first thing. It's a little frustrating. And then the second issue is it's just moving a little quickly for me. I met him literally 2 weeks ago. And we're going to New York this weekend, which I think will be super fun. But now he's asking me if I want to go on his family trip to Hawaii for Christmas. It's like November. I've known him for 2 weeks. Like, obviously, we would need to talk about this now if I were to go, but I met you 2 weeks ago, dude. I don't even know if I like you yet. Well, okay, I do like him. He's very sweet. He has a fun personality, and I like him a lot. Okay, a little. But yeah, I don't know. I just need a little bit of help figuring out if this is something that I should try to work at or just cut and run. Anyways, any advice would be appreciated. No promises that I'll follow it though. Love you. Bye.
I don't get it. This is the recipe. This is my hell. This is a guy who sucks at going down on you and also who's like extra as fuck 2 weeks in. Like run. Ooh. I want to know if he's younger than you. I feel like he might be. I also am going to say something controversial and feel free to like correct me.
Pardon me?
Yeah. As the male in the room. I just feel like at like it's a weird thing for me when someone has like an ego about sex when they're not experiencing, like if he's not doing what you're saying, like he's not doing any of that and you're giving him instructions and he's just going no, to me, that's like, is that, maybe I'm asking more of a question. Like to me, that comes across as like an ego thing of like, nah, I got this. But like, what is that?
Sex is like acting. If you're talking about being good at it, you're not good at it.
Very, very true.
And yeah.
But like,
I'm not saying, I'm literally not having, that was it for this conversation. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying.
But it's true though.
I don't get, and like
with anything though.
I don't get the whole, like, there's a certain part of like, I get guys who, I don't know, like for me, like I've had guys who've gone down on me who like it sucked, but it wasn't like I don't know, like I didn't care enough to correct them. But like, if you're caring enough to correct, like, why would you not listen or follow that as a guy? Do you know what I mean? Like what's... Absolutely.
You're
being handed a guidebook of being like, how to make me come. And he's like, I don't need this shit. I got the Spark Notes.
I'm going to improvise. She's been doing this for years and years and years. She knows what's going on.
Yeah. It's just weird to me.
Use this finger. Nope. Not doing it.
I'm going to do something completely different.
No, listen, man. What are you doing? Like, listen up.
Yeah.
Just pay attention and, you know.
And I think the part that's like, as much as, I don't know, I just think like the moving too fast thing and all of that stuff, I think that to me is a huge red flag.
You can't unmeet the family.
No.
Once you're there, like that's like family knows about, you know, so like just make sure you're ready for that.
But I think it's even past making sure that you're ready. I think you also have to think about how is our relationship going to be perceived by his parents if they're meeting me like a couple weeks in? What are they going to think of me? Are they going to treat our relationship seriously? All of that kind of stuff. I just think that like, I'm a big believer of being on the same page with people. And if you're not on the same page, then it's just, I don't think it's worth it because someone's always going to get hurt or someone's always going to feel uncomfortable. And like, I just think that like at this point, like he's moving so fast. And if you like, I mean, yes, I think there's something like pump the brakes and saying like, hey, I really like you, but like, I do want to kind of take things a little bit slower. But for me, it's a massive turnoff at that point because I also turn it into being like, you don't know me that well. Like, why am I kind of being, to make this another acting analogy, why am I being cast as your girlfriend already when like I have an audition, like I'm in the process of this. It's like imposter syndrome essentially of being like, I'm suddenly now meeting your family and doing all of this kind of stuff. And if it were me, I wouldn't necessarily feel like I'm at that place where I feel comfortable enough that like that person like knows like the shitty stuff about me. Like I'm still on like, I'm not farting. Like I'm so cute. Like I don't, I mean, I always fart, but like,
I do too.
do you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that it feels like
Very
I want to kind of know that we're solid and we've been through something together and like we've made it to this point and we've dealt with shit that like, it's solid.
For me, as time goes on, what I learn huge about relationships and just not, that doesn't mean romantically, it's just relationships with people in general. Setting precedents in the beginning is very important. You can't usually move backwards from boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So it's really important to set boundaries in the beginning and you have to figure out what you're comfortable with and what you're not and where you want to go. That's what you owe to any kind of relationship. It's not fair to say, well, I don't really know what I want. Like figure it out. You have to figure out what your intention is with this, right? And then be honest to it. So there's a huge thing I see with a lot of people where they're either scared to, they're just scared to make boundaries or do things that are maybe, or they get pushed into doing things that they're not comfortable with. When there's clear moments to say, hey, this is the boundary I'm comfortable with. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. That's okay to say. Like it's okay as a human being to say, no, I don't want to do that. Or I'm not going to do this or, you know.
And if it's the right person, it's not going to affect your relationship at all. And I will say the first relationship I've had like really clear, great boundaries and was Mats and I. When we first started dating, I was very much like, I don't want to define the relationship right now. I don't want to be like, I was like, I'm not ready for any of this kind of stuff. And it got to a point then when I was ready for it or like saying I love you or anything like that, he like very much, I mean, if he got drunk, he would always say he loved me, but it was like sweet. Like it was never a point
that's a precedence thing, but that's a precedence thing for me that I always tell myself, like, if I have not said this sober, like I won't, like, I just,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
And he knew I wasn't ready for any of that stuff. And then by the time that like,
I wasn't calling him out being like, that's a specific example of like what I mean by that.
Exactly. But then it gets to a certain point where like, for me, it was these things that I was like, oh, I really I now want to say it. I really want him to say it. It's no longer me being like, shit, if he says it, what the fuck am I going to say? And there was no longer this panic. And it was like me wanting to say it. And then when it happened, I was like, wow, this is great. Like you've been at this level from like a while into dating. And I like, you waited for me to get there and I felt zero pressure at all.
Yep.
And that's an amazing
really
feeling.
nice.
And I think like this.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
What he's doing right now and like the inviting you, doing all of that kind of stuff. I also think, again, if I was in the situation, I'm like, there's no way that I'm the only girl you've done this with. Like, this is just what you do. This doesn't make me feel special because this isn't like personalized to me. And also these like life moments and these like life like markers of like meeting the family, going on trips, they're not going anywhere. They're going to happen eventually. They don't have to happen all at once immediately. It's making all of these like fantastic and great like forward in your life decisions when things are going awesome. And it's really hard to like, it's hard to think about when shit's not going well. But if you make these like plans and for the future and all of this advanced stuff when things are going really great, I just think it puts a lot of pressure on like a really new relationship to succeed. And then there's like sort of like an obligation of like, again, this just feels like love bombing to me, which like is a term that usually is used in like abusive relationships. And I'm not saying that that's what this is at all, but it's like the overkill and doing all of this kind of stuff. And like you're being showered with all of this kind of like extra sort of stuff that it becomes something that like that you sort of kind of need and you hold on to and you seek, even if it's not something you really wanted right off the beginning. Like you're being bombarded by all of that stuff. And then it's just a lot to like hold, like, I don't know, like to hold up to of being like, wow, like it's a lot of pressure to meet his family and all of this stuff that I also think, I don't know, for, again, obviously this whole thing is from my perspective, but like it just feels like, not that you owe him something, but it feels like the relationship stakes are so much higher because like there are these things that he's already like been like, I want you to come do this. I want you to come do this. I want you to come do this. And you're like, wow, he must like me so much. I really have to like him just as much as he likes me.
No, you don't. We're not addressing the elephant in the room here.
That he's bad at going down on her.
Well, I don't like to point the blame here because you're not good at something unless you're taught how to be good at something. The big issue is that he's not listening.
Yeah.
That's the issue. It's not that he's not good at it because like you just have to learn. You have to listen. Like I used to, like you very rarely are just people naturally. Yeah, exactly. It's like anything. Like if you start playing tennis, usually you suck at it until someone that knows what they're doing is like, hey, do this. So it's just you got to listen. Like I think it's worth a conversation for you to say like you got to tiptoe around these sort of things because you don't want to make someone feel shitty. Like, you can get in someone's head. Yeah, both ends though. If I'm dating a girl and she's not good, and I literally was like, hey, you need to listen to me because this is not good.
You would never do that.
Exactly. And I'm saying that I don't think that that's appropriate in any circumstance unless there's shitty things going on, blah, blah, blah.
But at a certain point, if she's hand-holding him.
You got to be careful. You got to tiptoe a little bit, I think.
But I think she already has been. I think that's what, like, when he's down there and being like, okay, a little more to the right, a little this way.
We're putting it in our mind, though, that it's him going, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I'm doing, right?
Is he deaf? Like... Are you squeezing his ear shut with your thighs?
Maybe he's not coordinated. Maybe he just,
he doesn't know the difference between his left and his right. Maybe he's just confused.
Dude, I have a friend that has to do this.
I have a friend that has to do this. And his left are different from different angles. So.
You've just fixed it.
Yeah.
You need to remind him which way is right and left. No, he's got to listen. I think if I heard the conversation, I would envision it going something like, hey...
Not when they're having so.
No, it's got to be after. Okay. I think you got to separate the
before
business and business and pleasure here.
But what's better? Would you rather have the conversation before to prove yourself, or after to be like, hey, that wasn't good?
After.
After?
I think no, wait.
A correction of errors meeting.
Oh my God.
No, I don't think it can be near any time that you guys have recently had sex.
Okay,
I think it's got to be like, the next day, whatever, you're at lunch. Hey, I'm wanting to talk to you about this, right? I think, in person, of course. I'm always for in person with all those kind of conversations because you got to read people. You got to,
100%.
You miss this kind of connection. And,
So what would you say?
Look, I like if she likes, I like you. This is all good. I want you to listen to me. This is like there's a couple things that you could be doing, and it's fine, but it could be really good. You know? So it's like you're beating around the bush a little bit. And you're not like telling him you suck at this. You need to get better. Because you don't want to. I mean, I assume she likes the guy. She want to crush him. Yeah, because that's a shitty thing to hear on anyone. Like you suck. Like this is terrible.
Oh, that would break my heart.
I've never told a girl that she was bad at giving head.
No way.
No, I've never said you're bad. I try to give. No, exactly. So I'd be like, hey, do this, right? Yeah. Some of them don't listen. Okay.
And then you're like, gosh.
Fine, whatever.
Well, then you could direct them to the podcast because we literally have two episodes where we basically give tutorials, which you would hate because you hate when I talk about specifics of like giving head. You're like, I can't listen to you talk like this.
No, it's fine. I just listen and I'm like, oh, I do like that. That's
you
fine.
And Tyler are both just like, I was talking about it with someone and I just look over and you and Tyler are both like, what are you saying?
I remember there was one time I called Megan and I go, dude, this girl did this. And she's go, yeah.
And he was like, it was the craziest thing. And you were like, I was like, no, this.
Like, oh, yeah, one hand. And then it was, and she was like, okay.
Well, now,
shit.
I mean, we have basically, we actually got a couple of reviews from listeners who've been like, I took all your advice. Like, my boyfriend says thank you. Like, it was the best blowjob of his life. Yeah. So if you ever date a girl who's not good at it, you can just direct them to the podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I also think I want you, listener, to be, I mean, not listener, caller. I mean, you're hopefully listening too. I think you also need to figure out, if, and this kind of relates back to like the other call when you're talking about the boyfriend in the situation, if this, like him coming on really strong and all that stuff is making you not super attracted to him, and that's also kind of why the sex is suffering, and this is like your body's way of being like, hey, we're not into this guy, because I've also very much been there, and sometimes it's a little bit easier because like we're so used to like hearing that conversation about like fuck boys and guys who are blah blah blah, and like you deal with guys who are like are shit, never call you back. There's also like a terrible breed of guy, which I think is worse, is the guy who like is so extra and love bomby, and you're like, this is so corny and cheesy and I don't believe you. And then it comes to being like, oh, but that's like, if I don't want the fuck boy, and then there's this guy who's so nice, there is a person,
I have a nickname
in the middle. What?
My friends and I call them whippernickels.
Whippernickels. That's my.
Those
I
are
call them
whippernickels.
weenies.
Those are whippernickels. Then you have two. There's another one. There's whiffin' poofs, which are a slightly more feminine whippernickel in the relationship, like very whipped, very, you know.
Whiffin' poof, isn't that like
it's a
the
singing group.
acapella name at Harvard?
Yeah.
I know that from.
But whippernickel, that's a whippernickel.
Okay,
so
wow,
especially
I'm so
someone
glad
that
we have
doesn't.
that.
Yeah.
But I think that there's.
You would walk down the road and be like, that's a whippernickel. That's a whippernickel.
We're gonna use that on the show because we talk about these kinds of guys, and I think.
hope you say whippernickel though. You have to. I'll put it. I'll write it down, and you're gonna have it as a little diagram. But whippernickel and whiffin' poofs.
Okay. I just think that like sometimes it can feel like if you've been single, you've been turning down, you've been like dealing with fuckboys, that this is like, why do I not like this? Because this is too extra. There is an in between. And so I think like the sex part could also be a reason of why. And that might be the reason why you're like, well, I can stop dating him because of the sex stuff. I feel bad not dating him because like he likes me too much. Don't worry about that. But I would also figure that out. My own personal advice, I think it's too much and I would not be cool with this. And I think there are some people though who love this shit, who are very cool with this shit.
People love whippernickels.
But whippernickels date whippernickels. That's what I mean. Yeah. And you're not a whippernickel. So like I would say let him find a whippernickel and you'll be able to date someone who's in the in-between. Because I dated a whippernickel once and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, there's a lot of biology to sex, and like some people like fit together better, that blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But there's a whole like game and build up to every part of it, and that is really what puts it over the edge.
Yeah, he's gonna rip his dick if he's just sticking it right in you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like there's a whole like take time, do your thing, play
Build me
around,
up, Buttercup.
That is literally everything.
Yeah,
Build
oh my God.
me up, Buttercup.
Yeah, and also like that's like the
But whippernickels are known
thing-
for not building up. That's
maybe whippernickels are all of the guys who stuck it in dry, except the guys who were drunk. I told you can rip your dick that way.
It's happened several times.
Multiple.
You can rip your dick.
Our callers have called in. The guys have stuck it in without like. Usually it's because they're all drunk and they're like, oh, if they're not whippernickels, they're just drunk guys and they're dating. I don't want to say it's all consensual and all of that stuff, but like they're not taking the time and then they rip their dick. You can't get hard for 6 months, is it? And apparently it bleeds so much because all the blood has rushed to your boner and you're bleeding everywhere.
That will never happen to me.
Good.
That's good.
In my life.
Get them all wet. Get them all wet and ready.
Good wet sex.
You're like, don't
Well, all
worry.
right, pal.
Don't worry, I'm good. No, but
There's a flood coming.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is kind of your body's way of telling you that you're, I don't know.
My body rejects him.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I was gonna say you're a guy.
Like,
no, I've had sex with people afterwards where I'm like, my vagina did not like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like that. And like, you're like the next year, like, I don't feel, that doesn't feel, this is not what I want to be. Yeah. It's not a good time.
yeah, well.
Well, give us an update. Let us know how it goes. And hashtag whippernickels. On to the next.
I'm actually calling back with some additional advice. If you could give me some, that would be great. You actually answered my question on the episode with Kelsey Dara about me wanting some advice on how to get over my ex, my baby daddy, even though I still have to deal with him as, well, my baby daddy. Anyways, that relationship and that situation is all, well, not long gone. It still hurts. Especially because, he automatically got into a new relationship, so that's fun. And I have to see them all the time, and that's a whole different story. But anyways, I wanted some advice for myself since it was so easy for my ex to get into a new relationship. I was wondering what kind of advice you had for trying to get in, maybe not even into a relationship, but on how to get comfortable with kind of going out again. I do go out often with my friends, and I'm not, the type of girl that guys are the first ones to kind of go up and ask to dance or do anything or grab a drink. I'm not really that person. I have really hot friends, and they all always get asked before I do. They're very, skinny and pretty, and I don't see myself as that. So I'm really not, the first one that guys are walking up to and asking. So I don't really have a lot of self-confidence in that. I've tried dating websites, all different kinds. They're cool, whatever, but I haven't really found any honest connections or enough, confidence in one single person or comfortability in order to go out with somebody. And that just could be.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Because I'm shy. My ex and I dated he's all I've really known for the last 7-8 years. And he's the only person, the second person I slept with, but the only one that comes to memory because he's the only one that I had, off and on sex with for the longest time. So I'm really comfortable with that. So I think I'm, kind of nervous on getting intimate with somebody else or getting comfortable with the thought of even, sleeping with somebody else or having sex with somebody else. I am ready to move on, but I've just needed some advice on kind of some ways you think that I could either boost my confidence or be more comfortable around guys and trying to, put myself out there in the best way for the best outcome. So if you have any advice for me, that would be great. You gave me some great advice before, and I would love to hear your advice. Thank you so much.
She had the baby, right? Mm-hmm. She's not pregnant anymore.
No.
Okay. Apparently we diagree on that.
A little bit. We may not disagree.
We might actually not.
I think that what you thought I was saying is not.
Yeah.
What, so, do you? So what we were saying is, while the call was going on, as I was like, she was talking about getting back to dating.
Yeah.
And I got this really weird thing. I had a friend growing up that was part of a single mother and dated a lot and had a lot of guys come into the house. And the kid thought
we're
that
on a
these,
different.
the kid thought that these were
we're
dad.
not different.
Like, a year. She'd date this guy for a year, date this guy for a couple months, but kid had 8 dads.
Yeah.
And it's just hard for a kid to adjust, I feel like, figuring out parental figures, right? And so there is a part of me that's like, you got to do what's best. Like, when you have a kid, this is how I look at it. The attention kind of changes from me to the kid. Like that's when that happens, if it happens, I feel like it'll be a very different me. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of factors to account, I believe, in dating with a child. And who you're exposing your child to, and you're being very careful that you are not exposing your child to someone that you don't know, because how many years can you date someone and not know who they are? That's So that's where I was going with that. Is I think it's you got to be very careful. With that situation.
Yeah, and I don't
it's not the same.
Doubt. No, yeah, and I also don't doubt that you won't be. I think part of the reason why it's been harder for you to move on is because of that. I think because you have a kid at this point.
There's a lot of pressure involved.
And also I think you're just you've got your shit way more together than probably a lot of the people that you're
Big
dating.
Time. Well, she's had to. She's literally, you're in a situation
you
you
grow
have
up
to pull.
so much more than your peers and your friends and all of that stuff, that I think you probably are holding people to a much deserved higher standard. And I think
but it thins the pool.
100%. And I think from there, I think you need to figure out who cares if you have a kid? You have sexual needs. You have needs too. There's a point of if you figuring out what you need and what you want right now. Do you want a boyfriend? Do you just need to hook up with someone? Do you need to spend time with an adult who's sexually attracted to you, and you're not spending all of your time just you need to have that self-care time, and that self-care time can come in the fact of feeling I want to feel sexy. I want to feel I want all of that. And that has nothing to do with being a mom or being a kid. I just think that if you're going to be going out with presumably your friends are all young and none of them are parents. I think you also need to figure out if you want to hook up with someone or if you want to date someone. Cause I think if you want to date someone, I think it's going to be pretty hard for you to go out with a group of your friends. And if you're saying that you feel pretty insecure around your friends, that's hard. That's so incredibly hard. Yeah. And I think that's not going to make, it's not going to make you, you want to, when you're going out to meet someone, you want to feel good about yourself. You don't want to feel oh shit, my friends are so, I don't this makes me feel kind of shitty. And it doesn't even necessarily mean that your friends are cuter than you are. I think you just might have a complex about that. And those insecurities are being amplified. So I think you need to put yourself in a position of, if you want to get into a new relationship, which I also think is totally fine. I think at that point, it's dating people who are older than you. I think it's dating apps. I think it's potentially meeting people who are other single parents or anything like that. Because if you're going to go try, if you're I forget how old you are, but if you're 22 and you're going out to a bar with a bunch of other 22-year-olds, it sucks, but yeah, some of the guys are probably going to pick the one who doesn't have a kid. And it totally sucks, but it's just based on the fact that those people are self-aware enough to know that hey, I can't handle that right now. And it's a blessing. You don't want to have that
Saving
in your
everyone's
life.
Time.
But I think it is going to be different for you also because you aren't going to be going out as often as your friends. And so there's more pressure on those individual nights. And so I say do the stuff that makes you have a good time. And if you aren't having fun going out with let's say all of your friends, you're all 22 and everyone's single and they're trying to get guys. If that just makes you feel kind of shitty, don't use that as your one night off from being a mom. Hang out with 2 or 3 friends who don't make you necessarily feel insecure. And maybe it's not so much about finding that validation through guys coming up and talking to you. Maybe you just have some fun girl time and build up your self-confidence that way before you put that hey, I need this guy to make me feel more confident again.
I have a friend. She's in her probably late 30s, and her kid now is, I think he's 16. She had a pretty quick affair with a guy that had some substance abuse problems. Mm-hmm. Had this child, and I look at her situation, and she has done the best job as being a single mother. She doesn't have a lot of money. She works really hard.
Single moms are like fucking
she's a
superheroes.
Superwoman. She is. And she raised
and
this
dads,
kid.
But yeah.
But yeah. She raised this kid. She really didn't date till the kid was, I think he was 8 or 9 or 10. And she would never expose him to what she was doing. Like, of course, she had needs and things like that, right? And then as time goes on, she would date guys with other kids and like older guys. And she really navigates it well of not in, she's keeping the kid very separate from her relationships until she gets to a point where she goes, okay, he can understand the difference between, this is someone that I want him to emulate, or you know what I mean? Because you just kind of do have that responsibility as a parent, man or woman. Like when you bring someone around your kid, kids are impressionable. They're like sponges, so they will emulate who they're around. So if you bring someone kind of shitty into the household, kid might start emulating that. So you got to that's your job as a parent, is to control your kid's surroundings and to create someone that is happy and you're proud of. And,
And I think the most important thing in order to do that is to take that time for yourself. Because I think if you don't date and you don't put yourself out there and you just wait, I think it's going to be, I don't know. I don't think your individual needs are being met because you have needs as like a woman and a mom. And I think you also have to address like what you need as a woman, because I think that's going to make, I don't know. I think it'll make you, I'm sure you're already a great mom, but I think it'll make you like an amazing mom. And I think it's also going to help so you're not in another situation like you were with like your shitty baby daddy. I think like you can kind of take this as a really great opportunity to not get so like, not be like completely immersed in someone's life right off the bat. Like you kind of have this like built-in like wall and buffer of being like, this has to go slow and date and all of that kind of stuff to like figure that stuff out.
I think this is where we disagree, because I don't think I would for a while.
You wouldn't?
I don't think I would date at all.
I think like the response.
But teach his own. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for me, I've thought about it, and I think I would purposely shut that side of me down for a while.
But I think it's like, I think it's just hard because I think like it's also
and you're alone. I get it.
And it's also different like as a mom than a dad. Like a mom, like literally your body's depleted. You've like given this kid like everything.
Yeah, there's hormonal things happening in your body.
And like if her baby daddy's moved on with somebody else and everything like that, like you need to be happy. Like, and you need to be happy. And if being in a relationship and putting yourself out there is going to be happy, you'll be a better mom.
Yeah,
but if you had a kid and putting yourself out there wouldn't make you happy, and you could be.
You're very much right.
It's just a level of where you need to be. It's like no judgment on what anyone needs or wants. It's just about you have to figure out what it is that you personally need.
As long as the kid plays it, which obviously it does. Is like in my mind,
but
as long as the kid.
you have to put on your mask before you put on somebody else's.
Sure. Yeah. And the idea is that if you're more happy in your life, you're going to raise a much more well-adjusted human being.
If you take care of you, you can take care of somebody else. But if you're not taking care of you, you're not able to.
I've also seen situations where people look at getting their own and really just to hell with the, you know what I mean?
But I also don't think that. But I also think we're agreeing, because I don't think that's taking care of you either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay. I think if you're trying to get I think if it's like a revenge or a vindictive sort of thing, I don't think it's coming from like your own happiness. I think it's coming from like, I'm dealing with shit and I'm trying like.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. I totally. I very much agree with that.
I think seeking happiness is going to be a really great thing for you. But yeah, I would say if you have friends who are other single moms, I would definitely like, as much as your friends who are don't have kids and all that stuff, they're really great. You guys are at really different points in your lives. And I think you also might feel a little bit of, not that you don't love your kid, but a little bit of resentment of like, wow, they have all of this kind of stuff. I
got the solution. Just go over, poke some holes in the condoms in all of your friends' houses. You'll have a lot of quick baby mama friends.
Have mommy and me group.
Yeah, it'll be sweet. It'll be all cute and sweet, all different ages, like the little Verizon bars, you know? Like,
beep, 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 beep. So, but yeah, I've got
like her. You know, you listen to people and you just
smart
get
and mature.
And like, but even that, like, she's now in a situation that she's in, and she's taking ownership, and she is doing. It sounds like she's doing the right thing and just trying to deal with it. And I don't know. I like her. I like her a lot. She seems very sweet.
And I'm pretty sure anytime there's baby daddy advice, we're pretty tough love on it, and it makes me
there's not excuses for there's just
100%. And I think like
I always say like I couldn't do it. I couldn't not ever be involved in.
Well, and that speaks volumes of you versus a lot of these shit dudes.
I couldn't.
Yeah. Okay, so now it's time. You obviously know this because you're a huge fan of the show. It's now time for
the time. The time for things to happen.
It's time for Don't
blame me.
Nope. That's the whole podcast. Don't blame
Yourself. Never blame yourself unless it's your fault.
Them. Time for don't blame them. So this is when listeners will call in with their
responses to
their own advice.
Yeah. Wait, their own advice?
No, they give their own advice if they've been through something from a previous episode that we've talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Their own 2 cents.
With the responses. Yeah, to our response.
Yeah.
Or other people's response, the other guests.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's time for Don't Blame Them on Don't Blame Me.
Let's go.
Hi, Megan, Melissa, and guests. I'm calling in response to the episode with Claudia and Phineas, where a girl called in about being really nervous because all of her relationships had ended in cheating and kind of having that haze around her that that's what was going to happen next while her boyfriend was starting his musician career. And I just wanted to kind of give some advice. I mean, you guys gave great advice, but I'm in a similar situation. I'm in a relationship now with my boyfriend, been together for almost 10 months, and my 2 past relationships have gotten cheated on brutally, just awful, like with ex-girlfriends or with like a close friend. It was just the worst. So what I did with my boyfriend is I basically, when we started talking and decided to be in a relationship, I told him straight up, I was like, look, I have cheating problems as far as like thinking everyone's cheating on me, and thinking that it's just going to end that way because everyone I've been with has done that. No matter what I've like done to kind of try to make sure that I see everything, it's always happened. And I just told him, I was like, that's something that I'm working on, not having that idea of everyone, but I just want you to know that it's something that is going to affect our relationship because it's all I know. And he was very receptive, and we're 10 months into the relationship now, and whenever I have plans like that, I'm like, hey, I'm having a day where my brain's telling me that, like, trust isn't really working out, or that, like, I don't know, that something's going on, and he'll sit there and he'll reassure me, and he's really a fantastic guy. But I think, like they said, just be completely open with him and let him know that, hey, it's not you, but it's the fact that this is all I know. And I have to see something different for my brain to realize that that's not how things go. And hopefully, in my experience, and hopefully it'll be like mine, where he'll be really receptive and kind and trying to help you through it and work through it with you. And it's gotten a lot better for me, and I hope it gets a lot better for you. But yeah, just open communication and let him know that, you know, this is what you're going through, and see if he can just kind of do it with you. And if he's a good guy, he will. And if he's a good guy, he will care for you through it. But best of luck. Have fun in your relationship. That's so exciting. Go to his shows and support him, because that's honestly the best feeling. I know, as someone dating also a performer. So good luck. Have fun. Love the podcast. Have a great day, everyone.
Sweet.
That's very sweet.
It's sweet. I also love when people just reiterate the advice we gave, but I'm like, so we're extra right.
Just confirmation.
Yeah.
Life's full of like confirmation.
Yeah. I think it's very validating once you can like open up. And also if you like open up to a guy and you're like, yeah, I got cheated on my last relationship, and he's like, sorry, bitch, like I'm just gonna keep doing me. Like that doesn't really happen. I think there's nothing really bad happens from opening up to someone and being like, hey, I got cheated on, like I'm gonna be a little skeptical about certain things, like I'm just gonna need reassurance. Like you would never just be like, fuck you, no.
Yeah.
Like,
if you obviously, if you care, you're going to make an effort, or if you don't, you're not going to make an effort.
Exactly. I don't think there's nothing bad's going to come from saying that. There's no bad. I mean, maybe, but at that point, you'd be like, wow, you're a fucking terrible person.
Well, actions just speak louder than words. And I mean, if you have issues, then that's part of you having boundaries too, that we talk about.
Everybody dating musicians. Whoa. Rolls his eyes, also is a musician.
No, I wouldn't say I'm a musician.
I'm an actor / musician.
I hate telling people. I lie. I
lie?
I lie when people tell me. Ask me what I do.
What do you say?
Depends on the person, but I don't know. I say.
Do they have your Instagram?
I mean, obviously I'm not going to lie to
people.
You
mean like Uber
that.
drivers?
Yeah, just out meeting people.
What do you tell people you do?
Either like property manager or
no fucking way. They look at your face and they're like, "Nah, you got face for the movies."
I don't want to get into it, but you know why? Because it's always like, "Well, what have you done?" You got to sit there fucking listing off your resume.
Is there something I would have seen you in? And you're like,
"What have I seen you in?"
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't do it. Yeah, I just don't do it.
It's valid.
It's not
pretty true.
Important to me.
But guys, everyone dating musicians, crazy. Well, that's it for our episode. Leo, thanks for being on.
It's always awesome.
It's so great to have our biggest fan on the show.
No, I actually...
You're like, meow. No, we love you.
No, I
Come
love
back
coming
anytime.
on. I love this show very much. I do. I love coming on. I don't listen to it.
I know.
But I
You
know
love
it's good.
talking.
I'm sure it's good.
It is
I don't want
good.
to hear other people talk.
No, you want to hear yourself talk. It's fine. You're almost
And you, I like when you talk.
You
and
like
Melissa,
me?
I like when Melissa talks too.
Yeah, well, that's...
You don't talk enough. You talk enough.
Well, you talk enough for everybody.
Also, FYI,
You're right.
We also have a whole episode. Melissa's, we do get monthly episodes where it's just Melissa.
Just Melissa, yeah. I know. I actually do that because you post the photos and I see the photos.
Do you follow our podcast Instagram account?
I don't know.
You should follow it right now. It's really good. It makes some great edits. And we got some great video edits too.
I love that.
Where can people check you out?
Property management company that I work for.
Who is Leo? I am Leo.
Yeah, who is Leo on Instagram? I don't really use Twitter, but it's I am Leo Howard. Yep.
Remember when I told you that and you
yeah.
didn't realize that it was the call and response essentially?
Who is Leo? I am Leo.
Yeah, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't realize. I was like,
Remember
okay.
when you bring that up every time he's on this show?
Because it's fucking genius. Okay, well, where else can people find you? Do you want to promo anything you're in right now?
I am. You can check me out at CBS All Access. There is a show called Why Women Killed. It's streaming right now. 10 episodes. It's a fun show. If you like Desperate Housewives in that ballpark, and then I am a recurring on Legacies on CW.
Woo!
Yeah.
Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode, review us. We're over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We get lots of questions. You can just go to don'tblameme.show to find out exactly where everything is. We are on Instagram at don'tblamemepod. And if you're just listening, you can watch on YouTube, see the video version, all that stuff. And if you want to be on an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget, guys, we have our private, exclusive Facebook group. So join, request. You have to answer the questions.
Yeah, there's some people that have sent in requests with no questions answered. So you're just going to be sitting there till you answer those questions.
And this is for everybody's protection because we get so many people who like won't even call into the podcast. They're like, oh, my friends, like, I don't want my friends to hear. I don't want someone else, all of that kind of stuff. So we're doing this so we can like, we can be candid and like open. So we can like,
discreet.
we can get rid of those people who are just trying to like snoop.
We're all about secrecy.
Yeah. We truly
And we don't talk money over the phone.
No. So we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast. We bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.